Your password could be 20 random characters, symbols, numbers, the works. A password no human could ever guess and no computer could crack in 1,000 years. It wouldn't matter, because most accounts aren't broken into. They're reset. The attacker never touches your password. They walk around it, through the one door you were told was there to help you. The little link right under the login box. Forgot password? Not so long ago, a journalist watched his entire digital life get erased in about an hour. His photos, his email, his laptop, his phone. The people who did it never cracked a single password. They just asked the right companies to let them in. And those companies said yes. This is the trick that beats your strong password. More importantly, this is how you shut it down. Here's the idea the whole video rests on. The security of your account is not the strength of your password. It's the strength of your weakest way back in. Every account you own has a backdoor. It has to. Because people forget passwords, lose phones, and get locked out, every service builds a recovery path, a way to prove you're you when the normal login fails. That recovery path is a designed backdoor. And an attacker doesn't attack your strongest wall. They attack your weakest one. Almost always, that's recovery. Let's go back to that story because it's the clearest example ever documented. The target was a tech writer. The attackers wanted his Twitter handle. To get it, they needed his email. To get his email, they needed his Apple account. And none of that involved guessing a password. First, they looked at what was already public. His email address, his website, his billing address. Easy to find for almost anyone. Then they called Amazon's phone support, pretending to be him. Using only that public information, they were able to get a new card added to the account. Then they called back, said they'd lost access, and used that just added card as proof of identity to add a new email address they controlled. Now they clicked Forgot Password on Amazon. The reset went to their email. They were in. And once inside, they could see something small but lethal. The last 4 digits of his real credit card. Here's the hinge. Apple's support, at the time, would help reset an Apple ID for someone who could provide an email address, a billing address, and the last 4 digits of a card on file. The attackers now had all 3. So Apple handed them a temporary password. With the Apple account, they reached iCloud. And iCloud could remotely wipe devices. Within minutes, his iPhone, his iPad, and his MacBook were being erased, including the only copies of his daughter's baby photos. They took his Google account and deleted it. They grabbed the Twitter handle they'd wanted all along. No malware. No cracked password. No genius code. Just a chain of recovery flows, each one trusting information that the last one leaked. The last 4 digits of a card were treated as a secret by Apple and handed out like nothing by Amazon. The fallout was immediate. Within days, Apple paused password resets over the phone, and Amazon changed its phone support policy so you could no longer call in and alter account details like that. The exploit was never a piece of software. It was policy. It was people, trained to be helpful, trusting weak proof. That's lesson 1. Recovery often runs through a human, and a human can be talked into things a login form never would. You might be thinking that was a one-off. It isn't. It's the normal way in. Every year, Verizon publishes the biggest study of real-world breaches we have, the Data Breach Investigations Report. And year after year, the number one way attackers get their first foot in the door isn't some exotic exploit. It's stolen credentials. In the 2024 report, stolen credentials were the top initial action, showing up in about a quarter of all breaches. Across the last decade, closer to a third. And when you narrow it to attacks on web applications, the everyday logins you use, stolen credentials were involved in more than 3/4 of them. Notice the word. Stolen, not cracked. Attackers overwhelmingly log in. They don't break in. And how do they get those credentials? The most common single source is phishing, tricking you into typing them somewhere. The same report found something genuinely sobering about how fast that works. The median time for someone to fall for a phishing email is under a minute. Around 20 seconds to click the link, and another 30 or so to type in their details. Less than 60 seconds from bait to caught. And it isn't that people are careless. It's that a convincing fake, caught in a busy moment, is all it takes, and attackers send these by the million. They only need the small fraction who click. So this is not a story about elite hackers and Hollywood code. It's a story about ordinary access, handed over at scale. And it should change what you do tonight. If the dominant attack is someone logging in as you, then buying a longer password does almost nothing. The defense has to live somewhere else, in your recovery paths and the kind of login you use. Step back and look at the shape of the problem. When you log in normally, the system checks one hard thing. Do you have the password? But recovery exists for the moment you don't. So by definition, recovery has to accept weaker proof. A code sent to your email, a text to your phone, a security question, a support agent's judgment. And here's the part most people miss. Your account isn't protected by the strongest of those options. It's exposed by the weakest one you've left switched on. Think about it. You can have a beautiful password and an authenticator app, but if text me a code is still sitting there as a backup, an attacker just uses that instead. You built a vault door and left a window open next to it labeled in case of emergency. This is why attackers love recovery. They're not trying to be clever. They're doing the opposite. They're looking for the laziest, least defended path you forgot you left open. And the single most common weak link for most people is sitting in their pocket. We were all taught that texting a code to your phone makes you safer. And compared to nothing, it does. But your phone number is not as much yours as you think. It's an account at a phone company, and accounts at phone companies can be moved. This is called SIM swapping, or port-out fraud. The mechanics kept high level. An attacker convinces your mobile carrier that they're you, and that they need your number moved to a new SIM or a new provider. Carriers do this legitimately every day. It's how you keep your number when you lose a phone. The abuse is just that same routine process, triggered by someone who isn't you. The moment that number moves, every call and every text follows it to the attacker's device. And now watch what they do, according to the FBI's own description of these cases. They go to your email, your bank, your accounts, and they click Forgot Password and Account Recovery. The one-time codes, the very codes you thought were protecting you, get texted straight to them. They reset the passwords. They lock you out. Often, the first thing the victim notices is that their phone has gone dark. No service. By the time they understand why, it's a race they're already losing. This is why the FTC says, in plain words, that text message verification may not stop a SIM swap, and that you should use an authenticator app or a security key instead. It's why the FBI tells people to move off SMS-based two-factor for anything sensitive. And it's why the FCC tells you to set a separate PIN or passcode on your carrier account, a second lock on the number itself. Your phone number was never designed to be an identity document. We just started using it as one. Okay, so you ditch text messages and switch to an authenticator app, or those push notifications that say, tap to approve. Better. But there's one more layer, and it's the one catching even careful people now. It's called an adversary-in-the-middle attack. Again, high-level and defensive. Instead of stealing your password and getting stuck at the two-factor prompt, the attacker sits between you and the real website using a convincing fake page. You type your password into the fake page. It passes it to the real site. The real site asks for your code. The fake page asks you for your code. You hand it over, and the attacker passes that along too, in real time. The thing they're really after isn't the code. It's the session, The little token your browser gets that says this person already logged in, don't ask again. Grab that, and they're inside as you, with the second factor already satisfied. Some attackers don't even need your password anymore. There's a whole criminal market in stolen session tokens. And because that token says you're already authenticated, it can keep them inside for days, long after you've changed your password. That's why, after an attack like this, simply resetting your password often isn't enough on its own. This is the uncomfortable truth. A code you can read and type is a code you can be tricked into giving away. Push approvals can be spammed until you tap yes just to make your phone stop buzzing. Any factor that depends on you noticing a fake can be defeated by a good enough fake. Which finally points us at the fix. If the problem is that humans can be tricked into handing over codes on the wrong site, then the answer is a login that simply can't be used on the wrong site. So here's the defense, in order of impact. None of this is exotic. Most of it is free. 1. Use phishing-resistant login where you can. In plain terms, passkeys. This is the big one. A passkey, built on the standards called FIDO2 and WebAuthn, the ones CISA calls the gold standard, works with a secret that never leaves your device and is cryptographically tied to the real website's address. If you're on a lookalike phishing site, your device simply refuses to play. There's no code to read, nothing to type, nothing to relay. The adversary-in-the-middle trick collapses because the login is bound to the genuine origin. Apple, Google, and Microsoft all support passkeys now. Turn them on for your most important accounts first. 2. Protect your email like it's the master key. Because it is. Almost every other account resets through your email. If someone owns your inbox, they own everything downstream. So your email deserves the strongest protection you have, a passkey or a hardware security key, and a recovery setup you've personally checked. 3. Get your phone number out of the security loop. Where a service lets you, replace SMS codes with an authenticator app or a security key. And call your carrier, or do it in the app, and add a separate PIN or passcode to your mobile account, the thing that stops someone from moving your number in the first place. The FCC and FBI both recommend exactly this. 4. Audit your recovery options. This is the step everyone skips. Go into your important accounts and actually look at the recovery or security settings. That old phone number you don't use? The personal email from a decade ago? The security questions whose answers are on your social media? Every one of those is a possible weakest link. Close the ones you don't need. The goal is simple. There should be no path back into your account that's weaker than your front door. 5. Keep offline backup codes. When you switch to strong methods, services give you one-time backup codes. Print them. Put them somewhere physical. That's your safety net, so that lock it down never turns into lock yourself out. Now here's the reframe that I hope sticks. We've spent 20 years being trained to obsess over passwords. Make them long. Make them weird. Change them constantly. And that whole time, the actual break-ins were mostly going around the password entirely, through a support rep, through a phone number, through a code relayed off a fake page. Which means the question was never really how strong is my password. It was how many ways are there back into this account, and how weak is the weakest one. You can be the most careful person alive on your login screen and still be wide open, because your security isn't decided by your best habit. It's decided by the laziest support script at a company you've never called, and the oldest recovery option you forgot to turn off. So stop pouring your energy into the front door you already locked. Go find the back doors, the ones labeled Forgot Password, and lock those instead. Turn on passkeys. Guard your email like the master key it is. Get your phone number out of the loop, and delete every recovery path you don't need. A strong password protects the door. Strong recovery protects everything. If this changed how you think about your accounts, subscribe. Every video, we take one confusing security or tech story and explain what's actually going on in plain language.